We are nothing sacred. We are nothing sacred. We are nothing sacred.
With Maxwell Silverhammer.
We are nothing sacred. With cruise control. We are nothing sacred.
Yes, bitches.
Welcome. Hello, my name is Cruise Control.
And my name is Maxwell Silverhammer.
And my name is Louie Loke.
And this is the Nothing Sacred Shrink Wrap with Louie Loke. It is
bitches.
October 9th. 9th.
Actually, technically 10th, because that's what we're putting it on.
Fuck you. That sounded like Jamaican. I'm like, fuck you.
You bitch ass motherfucker.
You motherfucker. I'm into my voices now. I'm doing my, yeah, man. What's going on, man? How you doing?
So
I'm
what?
feeling good. What's going on, man? Actually, I got some shit to talk about to start off with.
Okay,
So it is the Halloween season.
Yes.
And so we need to talk about fear.
Ah, yes.
What scares people, maybe even irrational fears, or just scare. What scares you? Like, are there things that scare you guys that you guys know objectively are just fucking ridiculous to be afraid of?
Oh, yeah.
Like, because I know there's certain people that are adults that are afraid of the dark still. And for me, it's like, obviously for you guys, or for at least for both of you guys, it's probably not a big deal.
Well, other ones like even fear of heights. I'm like, what? You're afraid of heights? What the fuck?
Well, that could be something. I guess the dark could be okay. Heights can be something, because if you fall off something high, you could die.
Right.
That's the thing that I'm afraid of. I'm not afraid of actually heights. I'm afraid of falling on my butt from way far,
way up in the air.
Yeah, because think about it. Let's go into this fear. You're falling, and you know you're like 50 stories up. Let's say you're on a building or something like that. I don't know what the fuck you're doing, maybe, and you fall. There's like fucking 10 seconds where you know you're dead. You know you're falling, and there's nothing you can do. So while you're falling, you know you're going to hit the ground and instantly explosive pain and death. So like while you're falling, it's probably like takes like 10 minutes of like,
and then bam, then you hit.
Well, you know, I have. I don't think it's an irrational fear. Actually, I think it's a common fear, which is the fear of death. Like, I don't want to. I'm afraid to die.
I'm afraid of death too.
I don't want to be. I couldn't imagine not be. People are like, well, you're just not going to be aware, or you're going to go to heaven. So if you're not aware, you're going. I'm like, I don't want to be not aware.
Right.
Like I don't want to. Like, well, you won't know you're not aware. Like,
Yeah, but then there's the other fear too of like, how is your family gonna know? And what if they're looking for you and they don't know where the fuck you are, and crazy shit like that. That's another one that I think about with death. Like, oh damn, if something happened to me, and they'd be calling me, nobody has a key to my house, so
how would they
fucking rotten, dude? Those are the things that everybody tends to fear, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Essentially death, because we've been talking. I mean, falling
is about death.
Is about death too,
or injury or pain. Serious injury and pain.
But do you have any kind of like phobias or anything like that?
Yes, I'll tell you one that I have. This is going to be one that people are like weird about.
Babies. Oh, I think I know this one. I think I know it. Go ahead.
Babies.
Yep, you did. I remember you talking about that.
Baby, I'm going to actually look that up. Fear of Infantophobia or something like that. I do not like babies. I cannot like if it can talk and it can if it's like 3 or 4. I like kids start to get cool when they're 3, but fucking babies when they little fucking
they're not doing much.
I'm afraid to carry them because I'm afraid I'm gonna fucking drop the fucking kid.
Well, there we go again. There's a fear of death. Like, you're afraid you're gonna kill the kid.
I'm afraid of I just don't like the way I don't like babies. When people go, do you want to hold the baby? I'm like, fuck you. You have fun with that. You hold the baby. I don't want anything to do with the baby.
I have a fear of flying insects like wasps and bees.
Well, no, but that's still something that can harm you.
True.
Like, it's not really like babies. I mean, I guess, but it's not really a rational fear. I mean, like, obviously, I'm not going to drop a baby if I'm fucking carrying it correctly. But what if you don't carry it correctly?
Well, that's the thing. If you don't carry it correctly,
what if you bend it in half and all of a sudden break its spine?
Here's the deal. So we're doing shrink wrap, right? So
here we go. All right.
There's a thing about phobias that's called exposure therapy that maybe some of you have heard of, maybe you haven't. But the idea is to kind of expose you very slowly to the idea that you're afraid of.
Yeah.
And so the idea is we kind of create this whole idea of, it's called subjective units of distress, where basically it's like, okay, let's say the fear of babies. Okay. So maybe maybe something that's not so scary is touching the baby, but not necessarily holding the baby, right? Not yet, right? So touching the baby or like being around a baby.
Yeah, I can do that. I can have it hold my finger. I can hold. It's not about the fear. It's the fear of like having to take care of it, having to be responsible for it. I think, and it's a fucking bachelor. A bachelor's never grow up. Fucking
bachelor's
Peter Pan
fear.
Dude. Yeah, but it's also like like things like that would drive me crazy. If I were a parent, I would lose my fucking shit, man. I would fucking is the baby sleeping on the right side? If it fucking sleeps in the wrong area, is it fucking yeah.
And that is a honestly justifiable fear. I remember when I first took care of, and this was 20 something years ago, but still, when I took care of my daughter, I would wonder, okay, if I put her on her stomach, is she going to die? Like, is that going to be one of those things?
Yeah.
If I put her on her side, like, is she going to fall off the bed or something like that? Like, what's going to happen?
Right.
And I think that might not be necessarily a phobia, because it's kind of like, well, it's almost like a responsibility, and you don't want to mess it up, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So maybe that's not necessarily a phobia, but let's say the whole flying bees or the flying wasps thing or whatever, right?
Right. Yeah.
So what they would do is like kind of like ease you into it. Maybe the thought of having flying wasps around would be like just like the general thing. Maybe a video about wasps, right?
Well, I'll tell you, there was a guy.
Again, a video wouldn't scare you, right? Because you couldn't see it really.
Well, I'll tell you, there was one time I was watching this. The guy goes and he clears out wasp nests or something. That's his thing.
Okay.
On YouTube channel, and I had the headphones on while I'm watching this. And he's close. He's like, all right, we're gonna get in here, and these things are flying up to him, and I can hear them in the fucking headphones. I hear like, and I'm like, and I'm recoiling every time I hear this shit. So that might actually be like your initial like trying to get exposed to it at first, right? And the idea is that you get exposed to it for like a long time, like maybe like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And it trips you out, but it's not like as distressing as actually like standing in a freaking bee's nest or something like that. I don't think I could ever do that, right? I could never do that.
But what I'm saying is that a lot of the people with phobias think that they could never do that too. And like, I don't know if a counselor or psychologist would ever like expose you to like that kind of danger.
Yeah.
But they would get pretty close. And the idea is that when you're exposed to that kind of thing, the fear kind of like dissipates. It may not go away completely, but it does dissipate. And so that's the idea of exposure therapy.
And it's the same thing with what I was talking about as well in terms of parents. Like when you're a parent, you are forced to deal with that child. So after a month or two, I guarantee you that a lot of these fucking weird fears and weird issues I have would go away completely, because I'd be forced to be exposed to it to the point where I'd know, okay, it's just like when probably the same thing, Max, when you started cooking.
Well, I was just going to use that as an example. Like, well, you're still afraid of cooking, right? You don't like, the idea of touching a stove.
Well, for me, it's a visual thing, and certain things like I have to see things. I can't just not see things.
Right.
So,
right.
And getting close to boiling water and getting close to grease. So no, I know a lot of people do it. I just and then you're right. It would actually do the same thing. It would if I was forced to fucking cook my food, like whatever happens in the world in the next 6 months or who knows year, never will be. But at some point, I would get used to it. It's just like with my improv group that's going on now. The first week or two, I was like, oh, now I'm like, let's go.
That's actually a good one. Is the fear of speaking. And I know that when I was younger. I would have this really, really big fear of speaking. And I don't have that fear now.
Really? No, that actually surprises me. Because even at camp, you'd beatbox and perform. And so I would think that wouldn't.
That's the thing. It's a difference between performing and speaking, right?
Yes. There's definitely a difference.
Yeah. So when you're speaking, when you're actually speaking, like the performance, to me, like the performance was like, hey, all my friends know that I can do this already. It's old hat. It's just like not even like if I get on stage or if I'm just right in front of a group of friends, it's nothing, right? It's nothing. But like actually speaking, what would happen is I'd get a bundle of nerves for like the first like 5 minutes prior to knowing that I had to go up there. And then the minute the first word spilled out of my mouth, I was like, "Oh, I've already done it." So there it is, and all that would go away.
Yep, that's exactly the way I am currently.
That's how you've always been that way.
If you've ever seen me before a performance, I am bouncing off the walls. I am not sitting down. I'm walking around. Everyone's like, "What's wrong with you? Come on, everything's gonna be fine." I'm like, "You don't get it. I'm not anxiously scared. I just want it to start because once it starts, then I know I can just flow into it."
So for you, it's more anticipation. Like, well, come on, let's get it going already.
Oh well, yeah. You know, and
but I feel as though, and I don't know if this is. I mean, I don't know how you've probably done it more than I have, but I've noticed that when I public speak now, it's nothing now. But before, I know that it was like a lot of like jumbled nerves, and it was like as long as I can say that first word, just say the first word, go. You know, like it was almost like you had to like push me off the edge and then I could go.
See, for me, that's never been a fear. But then, you know, I was always a big mouth in class. You know what I'm saying? Like I would always make the jokes and talk the shit. So I never had a problem, speaking to groups.
Well, let's ask you for your first time doing a speaking event
for my actual work.
Yeah, you got goddamn right. Don't tell me you weren't fucking going.
Yeah, a little bit. I might have been a little bit like, oh shit, I hope I go in there and then too, when you're speaking, I think the first group I ever spoke to was a bunch of like older people. And a lot of them are medicated out, so they're not reacting to anything. So I'm like, oh shit,
you can't tell because you don't know who. You can't just take a look and see who's medicated out.
Yeah, but they're just kind of there to like you're making jokes, especially when they don't react to your jokes, or and you're like, oh shit, are they paying attention?
Yeah,
are they? And then I had one time when somebody had said I talk too fast. Which, by the way, people that tell me I talk too fast are either stupid or medicated. So,
well, let me bring some to going back to improv. And it's also kind of a thing that kind of goes with your exposure theory, because I wonder if there's also not the ease you in exposing theory, but the push you off the fucking cliff exposing. Because what improv does for people that have public speaking issues is you are forced to act like a fool. Like I had people today going like acting like a monster. Like you get in the middle of the circle and go, oh, and everybody can see you, and you're like, oh my god! And if you can do that, then you can get up in front of somebody and talk about your fucking debit report or your important, work, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, so that's the other option, right? It's the fucking.
That's a form of exposure therapy too. I think I want to say that it's called like implosive or I don't know what it's implosion or something like that, where basically you are thrown into the lion's den per se. You're just like, all right, I'll tell you guys, roll, let's do this. Boom, boom. You're right in there.
Well, I'll tell you guys a quick story, and Cruise Control, this one. My first time ever doing a radio show when we were over at KLAV at their internet radio station, and my now ex was running the boards. And we're going, shit, are we going across? Do we even know if this is broadcasting? Can people hear us? Is anyone listening? And, at one point I was like, man, we should maybe just get the fuck out of here.
That was some anxiety going on.
Oh, well, yeah, because we didn't know, were we broadcasting and how are we going to keep this going? So that was a tough one, man. That was a hard one for me.
Yeah, but that was like an in the moment thing. You were tripping out in the moment, wondering like, because you didn't know whether that was
right. I was pumped up until that moment came, and then I'm like, oh shit, wait a minute. What if we're not broadcasting? What if no one's listening? Just all kinds of other weird shit. At one point I even had somebody get on and make sure that we were broadcasting. So, and then I'm like, well, how do we keep this going now because you got the nerves of, is this even working on the technical side? But then you're like, what do we talk about? How do we get back on track?
Yeah.
So it was pretty disaster. I hope that was.
It's interesting though. If you think about Halloween, if you think about fear, people love to get the shit scared out of them.
Oh, obviously.
So I wonder where that. I want to kind of going into fear. Just talking about like facing your fear. Obviously, the whole thing, face your fear. I mean, whatever. Yeah. That's part of it.
Well, some people, I think they love to face their fear, like you said. They love to get the shit scared out of them. There's something about that.
Yeah, like I used to love horror movies. I used to love Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger and Jason, and I don't watch. I can't watch horror movies anymore. They fucking they make me anxious now.
Really? So they actually bother you?
Really?
Yeah, it's interesting because maybe it's because I don't like the. I think maybe it's the gore now because maybe it's the gore. Maybe it's more gore. Like a lot of the slasher movies now are more gory than they used to be, although they used to be pretty gory. But like they do fucking shit now where it's like pulling out fucking people's fucking spines and shit, like or just like that torture porn stuff like that. I don't know. Like the new Halloween movies. I haven't seen any of them. I was like, I don't really need to watch that shit anymore. Like watch somebody's head. Maybe it's because like as you get older, you feel more pain. And so you can relate to somebody having a hammer slammed on their hand because you've had your hand slammed with shit.
Right. And you're going, oh shit.
Or like a burn victim, like, oh, like you've been burned before, you know how that feels. I don't know. Interesting though, but
well, and that could be, like you say, coming with age, and that kind of goes into our hypochondria. Cruise Control and I are huge hypochondriacs. And
I used to be way worse than I am now. I used to be fucking just annoying as fuck, honestly.
The thing is, though, we always jump to the worst possible thing.
Yeah.
Like we got a stomach ache. Oh, maybe I have an ulcer. Maybe my kidneys are shutting down. It's always the worst possible situation.
Do not read WebMD.
Yeah, I know. We figured that out, man.
Because that's a rule number one. Yeah.
Yeah, because I made the mistake of doing that, and I'm like, oh shit, maybe I do have something crazy.
And then you start thinking like, well, I'm not having a heart attack, but maybe I'm so stressed out and so freaked out right now that it will
lead me to a heart attack.
Yeah.
You start. So you ever been a hypochondriac or? That goes back to the fear of death again. And fear of pain. Pain and death are the big fears.
Yep.
No.
Yeah. You're like, no, I'm not a fucking pussy like you guys.
No.
Yeah. It's like stupid shit, No.
Like,
oh God.
It's not like that.
I had to fuck with you, man. It's interesting though. Like I said.
No, but I it's weird because you've told me before, you said, maybe you're a counselor because you have these you have your own little shit to deal with, right?
Yeah.
And I honestly feel like, everybody gets their form of anxieties every once in a while. Oh, there's a test coming up. Okay, blah, blah, blah. You go through a little bit of stress, whatever, right?
Sure.
But like in general, I am not anxious. I am not depressed. I am not paranoid about anything. I'm not, I don't worry about stuff too much,
Yeah.
I worry about it for the time that it needs to be worried about, and then I move on. So
how do you get yourself there?
You learn, but I think it's the disposition. But I also think it's because you've been studying that for so long, and that you finally maybe have seen, or you've also seen other people deal with it in that same way. Like I'm really learning how to. It's letting go. That whole idea of letting go of your fears and your anxiety, and also we've talked about this before, but not taking responsibility for other people, or at least not worrying about shit you can't control.
Right.
And that really that's a learned skill, because the habit you get into, and the habit you get, anxiety is a habit, worry is a habit, because you're filling your time up and your thoughts up with certain things, then you reinforce that by continuing to think about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
While what you've done is you've gotten to the habit of letting go. You can just I know people, my buddy Shane, he can go, you know what, I'm not going to think about this for the weekend. And then he doesn't think about it for the weekend. Now me, I'm like, how the fuck do you do that?
Right.
I'm kind of trying to learn how to do that, but other people, because they can compartmentalize, but that's a learned skill.
Yeah.
You learn how to push that shit away to not ruin their fucking time.
Well, here's the
But
thing.
it goes back to our first episode that we ever had when I talked about my parents' divorce.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I learned how to compartmentalize then, even though I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
Because when I was at camp, I was at camp. I didn't worry about my parents until Damon asked me about my parents' divorce, and then it brought me back. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that was going on.
and maybe that's the trade-off, because I believe there's a trade-off of weakness and strengths for everything. Maybe that's the trade-off for not worrying about that. Like I would never go, it would be like a low burn fucking like worry the whole time about the divorce, but since I'm always thinking about it, it would always be there and like in the back, so it would be like a low burn anxiety. Well, maybe you're compartmentalizing. It's like, I'm not thinking about that. I was like, divorce.
Well, that's it. You know, you're cool until somebody mentions something. You know, a trigger word, even a simple word can trigger it off. You know, like if somebody says mom and dad or something, then you're going, oh fuck, yeah, that's right, my parents.
Yeah, you know? And it's like tapping. It's like Michael tapping you on the shoulder. Ding, 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 ding. You turn around.
Oh shit. Yep. Yeah, that's well, and you know, here's the thing. I'll worry about stuff, and then it turns out fine.
Of
and
course.
you think I've done this enough that I would be like, why the fuck do I still worry about it? But I just can't help it, man.
It's not even, but you can help it. That's the thing. That's another thing that's probably, I'm sure Louie's going, no, because that attitude of you can't help it is ceding control. It's giving control to some unknown fucking fool. It just can't help it. You know, it's like alcohol. You know, I just can't help it. No, you're the only one who can help it.
Right.
You're the only one who can go, you know what? I'm starting to try. I'm getting better at doing that with certain things, like letting it out, getting it out of my mind, because especially if you can't do anything about it. Like I can understand.
I mean, surely things like alcohol, they have addictive properties. So there are parts of it that you do not have control over.
Right.
So I'm not going to tell an addict, oh, just get off your ass and go just do something about it right now. Stop being a punk. Stop letting it control you. You know, I'm not going to do that. But at the same time, there are pieces of things that you do have control over. It's almost like even in like marriage, like marital counseling stuff, they'll talk about, you know what, take responsibility for the part that you had in it. Whatever it is, like an argument or something like that. You take the responsibility that you have, that's your part. So you tell your wife, or you know, whatever, you tell your wife, you know, I take this responsibility for this part right here, because this is what I screwed up here.
Right.
And hopefully she'll turn around and say, well, yeah, I screwed up here. Okay, I did that.
Well, you hope.
You would hope, yeah.
But I've heard stories of people saying, even when you're not wrong, admit you're wrong. And you're like, what?
No. That's the thing. You admit partial responsibility, because no one's in a couple, especially
in a relationship.
In any kind of relationship. Okay, let's say any kind of friendship, relationship, whatever, right?
Right.
If something goes wrong, no one is entirely responsible for it.
Right.
You both have a part in it, whatever that part is, and just fess up to it and be like, you know what, I fucked up. I messed up. You know, but I'm not going to I will never, ever, even in an argument with my wife, I will never take full responsibility, because I didn't do all of it. I wasn't part of all of it. Yeah. But I did do something, you know?
And I think it's also, you have it when you know that you're done. I mean, obviously, because that's like saying, well, she punched you in the face, so you must have done something to deserve it. Right. And maybe you did. However, the response and the reaction, because I think at some point you have to. I mean, I know we're going a little out of range here, because I had a point too. But my point was, you know, with that, it's like there is a point with certain people where you go, you know what, I'm not giving as much as I'm getting, and so you take responsibility by ending the relationship. You know what I'm saying, or by going your own way. But I had a comment. I want to get to this about like addiction or anything else. Like when you were saying, just do it, you just fucking get off your ass and do it. You know, like it's that easy. Yeah. But like we were talking about taking responsibility for what you can control. When you do that, you get used to that control, and then further from that, you can take more responsibility. But you have to start somewhere. So it's not like go cold turkey and do this. No, it's take responsibility, start somewhere, work from somewhere, and build on that. And then you can take control of more things. It's almost like if a car's on two wheels, you know, and you're out of control. The first thing you need to do is to get that car on all four wheels. That mean the car's all in control? Still, fuck no. It could be fucking icy and on the, you know, but at least you got the fucking wheels down, so you can fucking take more control of other things.
So start off slow is what you're saying, and then kind of work your way.
not this fucking grandiose gesture. I'm gonna fucking.
I'm never gonna. I like those people who say I'm gonna quit smoking, and they throw their cigarettes in the trash.
Yeah, just make
or like in your case, Max. You if you were to say I'm never gonna worry about anything ever again.
Shit.
Liar.
Yeah, that's some bullshit right there.
There's no way that you can do that, right?
No, hell.
But you can say, you know what? When you catch yourself worrying about something that you know is probably going to turn out fine, you can catch yourself and be like, you know what? This is something that I've worried about before.
Yep.
And it always turned out fine. You know what? I'm not gonna put myself through this again.
I'll give you a perfect example of that. My improv group that I'm in on now on Sundays. Every fucking Sunday morning, I'm waking up going, "Who's gonna shit? Is it gonna be in that paper? Am I gonna be in a paper?" Every
sound like
week,
Cartman.
Even if I have,
he did sound like Cartman.
So.
Man, I can't not eat a kinky poos. Just take it one step at a time, Cartman. Then me.
But you always freak out, right? Like you don't know if there's gonna be enough people there.
And it's like every time, even if there aren't, we don't have it this week. It's not a big deal. There's no skin off your back. You're not. It's like, what are you fucking worrying about? And so, like lately, I've just been like, like today, we had a best group we've had so far. People are coming back now. It's really starting to go. Next week, if we get 4, am I going to go back to? No, I'm not, because I know it's like I'm testing myself. It's like the saying, exposure to fear. Like use that if you get worried about, I don't know what the hell you're worried about, Max. Like kind of general, like your bus getting to work on time or something like that. I don't know.
Or just anything work related. Well, I'll tell you now. We got the new e-readers. I don't know if you heard about those, Louie.
No.
Oh, they're providing the e-readers now, not without saying too much, and they're giving them to patrons that read Braille. And next weekend we have an event that we're going to be at, and somebody specifically asked me to bring the e-reader. Well, I got it and I played around with it a little bit, but I really don't. I've had some issues with it, like trying to get it to work, and I'm like, oh God, I hope I can learn this thing before next weekend.
Okay, but see, this is the thing. The goal that you want is to kind of know it well enough to show it to somebody, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What are you doing to achieve that goal?
And that's the thing. I really haven't, because I've been like, I'll learn it. I'll learn it. I will, man. And then, but I just,
you're not going to learn it. You're not going to learn it through osmosis.
Right. Exactly. I've been putting it off, man.
And it's just going to get you more and more. And that's another thing. What happens, I think a lot of procrastination is being scared to fucking move forward because you don't feel like you have enough time. Because
that's the big,
so fucking much that you're like, you dig yourself more of a hole, because now you're like, I have less time. I got this time. I got 3 days. I got 5 days. And then all of a sudden I've got 2 days. Where the fuck? What? Who?
Yeah.
Right.
That procrastination.
So the idea is to start tomorrow, because you only have,
that's what I plan to do.
6 days, right?
Yeah. That's what I plan to do.
Start tomorrow. Realize that, okay, look, these things are probably pretty easy.
Yeah.
They're probably relatively easy, even though, just like anything that you ever learned in your life was a little bit difficult at first. You're like, I don't even know what the hell.
Dude, I've always, there we go. Talk about phobias, a fear of new technology. That's always been that's pretty evident, being that I still use a flip phone. You know what I'm saying? So,
well,
yeah, but you've adapted though. That's the cool thing.
Look at it this way also. Let's go back to the cooking. Like, how at first you were afraid to cook, right?
Fuck yes. My buddy had to come over and sneak, he was like, oh yeah, I'm going to come over early. I'm like, well, why is he coming over early? And he was like, because I'm going to bring a roast and you're going to cook it. And I'm like, huh? Okay.
And he just forced you to do that. So then you were like, I didn't know what you're doing. And then it got easier and easier.
And now I do it all the time.
Yeah.
Like it ain't shit.
Now you like it.
The thing is that you have control over how much time you're going to spend on this e-reader to try to get it to where you can actually show it to someone. You don't have to be an expert in it.
Mm-hmm. No, you don't have to learn everything all at once.
You have to be relatively proficient in it. That's like your job, to be relatively proficient in it, to show it to somebody else.
Right. To show them how it works.
So tomorrow you work on it. You make some mistakes, you mess up things, you do whatever happens, right?
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
Go well. I don't know that. I don't know if it's going to be well or if it's going to be bad. I have no idea, right?
Cruise control knows me too well, man. He says you're going to get frustrated and start yelling and shit, which you know
yeah,
that's
you might.
No, he will. He will.
Yeah,
I will.
I mean, I
will. He knows too well.
I work with technology all the time, and I get frustrated with it sometimes.
Oh yeah, dude.
What I wanted to do.
Me,
right?
I'm. Trust me, I get like, God damn this fucking corporate gym, Charlie, fucking, and that's my whole.
Yeah, and I think that's probably what you're probably afraid of. Almost, it's almost a fear thing. You're afraid of. You don't want to feel that way. You don't want to feel because you hate it.
Yeah.
So you know you are going to for a little bit, even if it's not as bad as you probably think it's going to be. But you hate.
And
that
even that, technically, you have a choice of how to react. You could. Yeah. Being angry at something, okay, that's fine. Being a little bit upset about something, that's fine. But getting to the point where you're just like, oh, fuck this thing, and you throw it across the room or something like that, you have control over that, dude. You still have control over that.
That's true. But let me tell you something. I'm gonna go deeper here a little bit, Luke. Go with me here. All right. Let me follow this, Max. Okay. So this is Max. Why Max hates technology and doesn't want to do this and is procrastinating with this, because every time he fucks up with this thing, it reminds him of like when he's fucking trying to do something that like a sighty could do or a normal, like that fucking inadequacy. Inadequacy. No.
Yeah. No, he's right. Keep going, man.
Oh, I can't do this. I'm just a stupid fucking person.
Yeah.
That's why
you're right.
You're totally changes anything. He's like, God damn it, motherfucker! I want to be doing this myself easily, like some motherfucking idiot with a fucking cell phone. He's like, Like all you do is press this button, and this one. Fuck you.
It goes back to the
reminds you of your fucking
inadequacy. Yeah, and you're
boom.
Right.
All right,
and that's where citing existence comes in. Where I come up with citing existence.
You're like,
okay. Okay, so when you talk about the citing existence thing, though, you got to realize that some of the technology, like the PDFs, it's their problem that they're not accessible.
I know.
Like it's literally their problem.
On some level, he knows that, but
I know this.
It's their problem. It's not your problem. You're not inadequate. It's their fault that they did not make it accessible.
Right, but
it's easy to make it accessible.
But then you're looking at it going, but if I were sighted, I wouldn't have to,
But you wouldn't, because you see.
But you aren't.
Stupid shit. Yeah.
But you aren't.
Yeah.
That's the thing that we don't have control over. We don't have control over the fact that we can't see certain things, right?
Right. Yeah.
Wow, we're really getting deep tonight, guys.
Of course, that's what we're supposed to do.
We don't have control over that, dude. That's the part of life. If there was something that could be done that could bring sight and not restore, because none of us were born with any.
Yeah. Right.
Complete vision. But if there was something that could bring some sight back, great. That'd be awesome. But that's still something that we don't have control over.
I don't think. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's a weird dichotomy, man, because at the same time, I would not want to be sighted. You know what I'm saying? I've said that millions of times. However,
yeah, you have.
But I also think I don't think it's actually that you're going, oh, if I were sighted. I think it's just that automatic sense of frustration because you think someone's almost like you think someone's watching you.
Yeah,
like it's a scrutiny from someone that's not even there, because you're so used to fucking trying to do things around people, and they're going, "Oh, we can fucking." Well, even when you're not around people, you still fucking think you have that same fucking mentality. You're like, I should just fucking be able to do this because anybody else will be able to fucking do this, right?
I feel like I'm being judged or scrutinized or something. Yeah,
It's interesting because But
the thing is that your anxiety is paralyzing you to where you won't learn it.
Yeah, I know.
You've got to get yourself out of that, because if you don't, then you really will meet the fear that you originally didn't want to meet, which is I can't do this because I didn't even try. I didn't even put in the time to learn it. And honestly, I'm sure if it's anything like anything that's Library of Congress related, I'm sure it's not that hard. I don't think they try not to make things as hard as it. They try not to make things very hard.
Yeah, I think it just reminds you of your helplessness. I think that's where, if you want to put it down to some basic shit, like it just reminds you, because you hate that. You hate the idea that you can't know something or don't know something. That's kind of where I'm at. But I want to come back to something, because you were talking about it's not in your control, because that is a good point. Like, because there is a lot of that. If I were sighted, well, you aren't. Too bad. It's the same thing about when you worry about other people and their problems. There's nothing you can fucking do about it. Like, oh, well, what if they don't do this, they're gonna be fucking more sick. And it's like, dude, you can't do anything about it. You know, it's like fucking, there's nothing you can do.
It's up to them. It's up to them to be worried about it enough to say, I really need to do whatever Max is thinking that they should do. They've got to come to that conclusion. It sucks. It really does. It really does suck, because, as a counselor, sometimes you're like, why don't you just freaking do this in your head? That's what you're saying in your head. And like, it's so easy. Why don't you just do it? And I'm like, but they have to come up with that conclusion. I can lead them to that conclusion. But they have to actually realize that that's what they got to do. And
that's probably the hardest. Sorry, Max.
Here's the big contradiction. Like, so we got to take for work. Every 2 years, we have to take sexual harassment training, right?
Oh, yeah.
And the last time I took it, it was real easy, real accessible. I was able to navigate it just fine. It's an online course. This time they've changed it up where it's not very accessible. However, there was a glossary of terms, and I was looking through, and the one thing was it was about different discriminations, discriminating versus based on sex, discriminating based on disability. And I'm laughing. I'm going, wow, this totally contradicts the whole purpose of this fucking course. You know what I'm saying? Yet it's not accessible. This shit's discriminating in the fact that, it's not accessible now for somebody blind to
okay. And here's the deal. I mean, here's another deal. You have an assistant. You're lucky.
Yeah, but there we go again. We have to rely on sighting assistance.
No, but that's what I'm saying, though. This is the thing that you're saying, relying. Why don't you just say using it? You're using it.
Yeah,
because
it's like, do you rely on your fucking shoes to cover your feet, or do you use them?
I see.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's a tool. She's a tool there, because and that's just the fact of life. You have to have that tool.
Yeah. The thing is that especially for those things that are not accessible, like the stupid. And it sucks. I don't like it either. But do I have the say so? If I do have the say so, if this was something that was created by Library of Congress, or by your job,
it's their job.
If it was created by your job, then you could contact somebody and say, hey, this is not accessible. Can you fix it? But if it's something that's like a statewide or some kind of like third party thing, there's nothing you can do about it, right? So if you can't do anything about it, then your next step is, okay, whether I like it or not, I'm going to use my sighting assistance, because she's there anyway for that purpose, and I'm going to get this stupid thing done, and then I'm going to go to the next thing that I know that I can do.
Yeah, I just hate that, man. I would rather just be able to do something myself. And like I said it before, I was able to do it myself.
But fighting it is a waste of time, because all you're doing is wasting your time complaining.
Can you drive?
Well, no, of course not.
Okay.
And that's why I get so mad at, like, when your drivers leave you, or like I had a U-beaner the other day, and this motherfucker, I'm trying to call him to tell him where I'm at. He's not answering his phone, because he doesn't speak English. He doesn't hablo the Inglés. And
okay. But I'm trying to get what I'm trying to get at is
you
don't get upset. You don't get upset about not being able to drive.
Oh yeah, I do.
Do you?
Yeah. Oh fuck yeah. Especially like if I'm compromised, like in a situation where I'm like, God damn it. And cruise control does too. I know you do, man, because you've said it. You've stated it before.
If I could drive, then I wouldn't be in this situation.
Yeah, I wouldn't have this fucking situation. And I think I even put a post up on Facebook that said something about, wait till they come out with these self-driving cars. I'm not going to have to fucking deal with this shit anymore.
Well, and I think there's two things. I think the venting is actually good for you too when you do that.
Oh, yeah.
But the
I do too.
Over worrying about is what I think we're going for, is focusing on that. And that, because that's why you don't want to get involved, and that's kind of why we're going back to why you don't want to get involved in this fucking course, because you don't want to have that feeling again. You hate that fucking feeling.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I hate being compromised.
Going back to Albert Ellis, who's like one of my favorites, right?
I can tell. You've used him a bunch of times.
I have. And what he's
that's
talking about is being overly worried versus being concerned.
Yes.
So being concerned about something, that's fine. You can get a little pissy about it, but you're not going to worry about it to the point where you don't even take any action at all. You're concerned that you can't drive, but at the same time, you're not going to be like, well, fuck it, I'm just going to stay here until somebody comes and gets me. No, you call other people. You do other things to get your ass home, right?
Yeah, of course I would. Yeah.
Okay. Same thing with sighting assistance. Just because this thing is not accessible, well, it's like, well, I do have this other tool at my disposal. I might as well use it.
I do use it, but I don't like to.
Just go.
Yeah, see, I will use it. Trust me. I'm not going to avoid the course because obviously, I'm going to do it. But I hate to have to go that route.
And I think that's the whole point, is that you're focusing on what you're, instead of just going, this is the reality. And I do that. We all do this. That's the whole thing.
We all do it. We all get. But the fact is that you have that resource. So I'm going to tell you that.
So instead of being upset that you have to rely on that quote unquote rely on that resource, you should be grateful that you have that resource to use instead. That's another
maybe
thing.
I'll think about others.
That's another thing I'm trying to learn is being grateful for the shit you have, because you have a lot of resources at your disposal that allow you to do the shit you can do now.
Well, I guess
you might get mad at the Uber driver who gets 5 minutes late, but you're getting home.
Oh no, this guy canceled on me. That's the point. He showed up there. It said your driver has arrived. So I try to call the fucker, and he's dumping me into voicemail each time, and I'm like, fucking idiot.
No.
But the thing is, Max, you keep saying that's a sighted thing, but what if a sighted person has the same issue because they don't drive because they drink? And then they have to wait.
Hey, listen, let me tell you,
it's the same fucking thing. So it's not a sighted thing; it's an Uber thing.
Yeah.
So it's not. So that's another thing. Is to equate it all about being, I can drive, I can be sighted. It's not always about that, because it could happen exactly the same fucking way to someone who can't drive, who's sighted completely. 2020 just doesn't drive.
Right. It's just not able to drive.
And a suggestion that I would say is that since you do have sighting assistance, and I know that this person's not the sharpest tool in the shed.
Well, yeah.
But she could read you the manual if you're having trouble with your e-reader, just to get a little extra jump in the process.
Actually, the
manual, trying to do it all yourself.
Well, the manual's in Braille, and
hey, even better.
But there is a YouTube tutorial which I've watched a little bit and seems to be pretty self-explanatory. And there's really not much you can really demonstrate per se. Because it's blindos. So you're like, they'd have to actually come up and touch the machine. So it's probably not going to be a whole lot of demonstration, but at least I got to be somewhat knowledgeable, at least have, a couple Braille books on that thing.
You know what to do, cowboy.
Yeah. But I
get
think
on that horse and try to ride it, man.
Exactly. Get into it and start doing it. But I think it's interesting, there's so many different layers to why you do things and why you don't. Right. You can peel back like an onion, okay, why is he
complex, bro?
Yeah, but it's so fascinating that you can actually kind of find the trail. You can go, wait, that's why. I didn't really think about this before. I'm like, I get, but I'm almost positive it's that feeling that you dread, that feeling of helplessness and not knowing how to do something. And fumble around, and that because it leads back to your insecurities about being seen as helpless. Is that?
Yeah.
That's the way I'm seeing it. It's just gonna fade. I'm not saying that's the only thing. I'm not saying that's.
Yeah, but no, you're right. You are right.
You ordinary.
No, that's why I'm totally.
What is that? Your Freud impression?
Yeah, it was terrible. I'm a Freudian fraud.
Well, he's well, you know me long enough, so you know my habits and you know my mindset.
Sure.
And so that's why you're totally up on it when you get it. Why I
and it's probably the same reason why I'm anxious about stuff when I go to this. Do you think that they're gonna like think I did a good job at my class?
Actually, that was the funniest one. Well, the first time we went to the studio to record, and I took cruise control to sing backup vocals on a track, and he said, I remember him going, "So do you think they're gonna like my singing?" And I'm like, I don't give a fuck if they do or not. I'm paying them.
Yeah.
So, so that leads back to that kind of thing where his thing is about being a performer and making sure that he does a good job performing, and where it's
or
like
teaching or whatever, whatever.
I had a similar thing happen like just this Friday. So there was it's called First Friday Art Trail. It's
you guys have a First Friday out there too?
Yeah, we did that here in Oregon. We have that.
Oh wow,
well.
so a lot of places do it.
Oh, it's a big thing everywhere.
Yeah, so like they realized that I knew how to play a keyboard because I said something, and then everybody was like, well, bring your keyboard and let's see if you can perform. And I like performing with a band because I can just throw in keys here and there and just mess around, kind of like
right, kind of ride off them a little bit, right?
Yeah. But
not the center
performing by myself is like a totally different thing. And I was a little bit of a bundle of nerves for like the first 5 minutes before each time I performed. But I knew once I got up there, once I get up there, if I'm up there, I'm ready. I'm like, okay, I'm up here. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Actually, here's the one.
Yeah,
Louie Loke, man. I think this one might. How do you feel about reading Braille in front of a group, like reading to a group in Braille?
Oh, I love it. You know why I love it though? This is why I love it though. So I'm sure that you don't, because
I hate it.
That's why you asked.
I hate it. I feel like a third grader, dude.
No, I love it because for one, most people, especially the ones that are like sighted and whatever, you know what they're doing?
What's that?
They're saying, "How the fuck do you read that?" That's the first.
But
thing
even if you're stumbling over words like a third grader, like and the tree was, because that's how I sound when I'm trying to read Braille.
Maybe you need to get better at Braille reading, bro.
Oh yeah, see.
No, but my Braille reading's fine. I can read a Braille book fine, but it's just when I'm reading out loud for some reason, I don't.
So you just
you need to read out loud a little bit more, bro.
Practice reading out loud.
I actually don't have that problem.
That's interesting because I don't know what it is, but I sound like a third grader. And there was a thing that my boss had suggested at one point that I go and like read to kids at a library or something. And I'm like, no.
You can just read to yourself at home though. You just start reading out loud like it's.
Well, if it's a kid's book, I can kind of practice it and kind of get the idea of what's being said. Shit, I could probably even throw in words.
No, I'm talking about just bring, like, if you have to read something in Braille, like, and you have to read it a couple days before, just bring that shit home with you and read it out loud to yourself in the fucking house. Just da 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 da, because all you're doing really is practicing the transferring of the reading to vocals. That's all you're really doing. There's no other shit. There's no other bullshit with that.
Another thing that you might want to do if you aren't doing it already is read the first few words and then start
talking.
Yeah, because I forget that it takes so much longer to fucking fill that shit out.
Well, yeah, because you feel you make sure you get the words right, that kind of thing. And
so if you're I mean, it takes a little bit of practice. I don't know, I do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I do it all the time. But I'll read something and I'll already have read like maybe the first line or maybe the first few words before I even open my mouth and speak.
Well, that's what I used to do.
I'm speaking, then reading, then speaking, then reading, then speaking, then reading. It's like it's kind of like it's a thing. It just happens that way.
Well, I used to do that in theater when we had to like read a script.
Yeah,
exactly. I would fast forward to my part and just be like, all right, here's where I come in. Let me just get that down real quick. But then if it's just you reading and all focus is on you and you're like, like I said, I sound like a fucking second grader or third grader. I hate it.
Well, that's like he was saying. So all you got to do is just practice reading ahead, like I said, at home. If it's just something that, if you do it a lot, if you don't do it,
and if you have to read it into a tape recorder, because you might actually not sound like a third grader, but think that you do.
You do. Yes,
yeah. Well, that could be. Yes. And guys, I don't read much Braille anymore. Most of my stuff is all audio.
Maybe you need to bone up on it, because I read Braille on a relatively consistent basis.
Oh, do you?
So my Braille is actually pretty solid.
I mean, I have a Braille display, refreshable Braille unit at work.
Yes, use that.
Which I do use, but I only use it for certain things, but I don't rely on it. It's, I use JAWS first, that second.
Maxwell.
No,
I do that too.
Maxwell, are you not relying on that Braille because you don't want to associate yourself with a blind way of
Goddamn right. Goddamn right. When are you going to learn you're blind? When are you going to admit you're blind?
Here's the cool thing, though.
Players obsolete. Fuck Braille.
But here's the cool thing that you need to embrace, Max.
What's that?
Here's the cool thing you need to embrace, and I embrace it fully. There is not many blind people that know Braille. It's like a dead language, and not many people are learning it. And we're one of the few. Well, it's almost like we're the chosen few that know Braille.
But no Braille.
It's like crazy, dude. It's like, wow.
Well,
I think it's awesome that I can see somewhat, and I still know it.
You still know Braille,
but
here's the thing.
I know print and Braille. It's like, wow.
Yeah. I think Braille is essential for people like in my case, obviously, that's how I learned how to read. And I learned sentence structure and all those other kind of things through that. But for somebody who's 85 years old going blind,
no
reason of course. But you can use that to your advantage in a way, because not only will you actually practicing Braille help you mentally keep sharp, because it does. Yeah. Just like reading, like that's
right.
Reading is fucking amazing. People that don't read, they're missing out on so much.
Well, Braille did get me my job. I mean, because I could read the Braille on the.
You might want to do, and I do, and this is throwing this out there is, I know you love the audiobooks in terms of reading fiction, right?
Yeah.
You should fucking have a task for yourself to fucking read a fiction book in Braille.
Correct.
See how that
and you have
goes.
access to it.
Yeah, I can.
You have access to it. You definitely have access to it.
Dude, yeah. So if you could fucking read a fucking fiction book in Braille, you might, because I'm telling you.
Well, I read some, as a kid, obviously.
Yeah, but it's amazing because the whatever image, however you see images, whatever the thoughts that come into your head, when you're not hearing it from someone else, when you're hearing that narrator in your own head, I never listen. I can't listen to audiobooks. I just don't.
Okay.
I don't listen to them. I'm sure they're great in their own ways, but I want to read. I want to see I want to have that fucking my own voice in my head reading the shit back to me.
Okay.
Well, that's cool. and like I said, when I was younger, when I was in school and my books were in Braille, I read a bunch of fiction books in Braille.
But you should try it again and see how it is. Just try it, and that'll give you a way to actually learn how to do Braille. That's actually interesting and fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
we're showing Max's.
I still use it. I mean, I still use Braille. It's not like it's dead to me, but I just don't use. I'll tell you guys a funny story though. There's something called enlarged Braille, which I guess is for people that have neuropathy. Where they,
I don't like that shit.
Oh yeah, dude. Well, here's this guy was this dude was so pumped up. He's at a senior center. And he's like, hey, you got to come in and you got to see the Braille that we got Braille signs on the doors now. It's great. And I'm going, okay, let's check it out. So I go in there and he's like, all right, check out. This is our auditorium room or whatever. So I'm reading this shit. I'm like, what the fuck does that say? Like, because they're all spaced apart.
Yeah, they're spaced big and they stick out longer, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
and I'm like, what does that say?
Weird
stuff.
And he's like, you can't read that? I'm like, no, I cannot read
because you're used to a specific length between the dots.
Yep.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct.
Because that's all that matters to you.
I totally took the wind out of his sails though, because he's like, yeah, we got Braille. And then, here it is. I can't read that shit.
Because we actually, okay, so I know that you probably don't read Cruz, you don't read Braille, but like for us Braille readers, the dots, like we don't see, oh, there's 3 dots that go down. We see the letter L as a symbol.
Right. It's we don't even think about it. It's
ingrained in your head. It's just like looking at the letter.
Right. But you know what it looks like. Feels
like you see it. It encompasses the whole thing at once. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like a letter P is 3 dots down and then a 1 to the right. Yep. I have to literally like imagine that in my head, but if I touched it, I'd be like, oh yeah, it's a letter P. It's nothing. It's just a language that we know, and it's like we don't think about the dots until we actually have to think about the dots, and then we're like, oh yeah,
when people say, is it what's 3 dots, and you're going, I don't know what fucking 3 dots.
Which way? Which way?
Right.
Like. what direction do you want the dots to go? Like it can mean all kinds of different things.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, see, here's the other thing too. I've had sightseers before that will go, feel this. Is this, it's Braille. It's like some shit on a shirt or something. And it's not Braille. It's just dots to look like Braille. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's larger Braille is what it is. It's Braille like let's say it's Braille that's larger. I don't have that. I know how that's all it is. Just larger, spaced apart Braille.
Spaced apart.
But
that
the thing.
spaced apart thing makes it look weird to us. Like,
of course, because it
doesn't look like what you know.
It's because you're not. It's almost it's so big. And you're feeling it with your fingers. Your fingers are what tell you what the fucking thing is, not your sights. They're trying to incorporate the way it looks to sighties in a bigger format on a phone.
And what's weird, Max, is that I've actually tried to look at Braille like some people know how to do.
Oh yeah.
I do not know how they do that, because when I look at it, I'm like, what in the world does that say? And then I put my finger on it and I'm like, oh, that's what it says. All right.
Well, just think of another way is what they probably are doing with those larger Brailles is using hand, like the whole hand, like your palm. Like if you pushed your palm against that and rubbed your palm against it, it would be funny. 3. Like let's say
natural.
Yeah, it is unnatural because you read it with your fingers. That's how it's supposed to be read.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Read it with my palm. What?
But with people with neuropathy, they might have more sensitivity on their actual palm. So they push it against it, and and so they run it they run their palm across it, instead of their finger. That's a interesting. Anyway,
that's I don't know.
Well,
but it's keep the lost art alive.
The moral of the story is exposure. So if you feel like you're reading like a third grader, first of all, record yourself, because you might not be. You might actually think that you are, because you have that little hang up about yourself, like, oh, I look so stupid. I mean, I swear, dude, everybody who sees me reading Braille, and I do intakes for academic counseling, and I'm reading the forms, I'm reading what they're reading in print. I'm reading it in Braille on my Braille display. And I swear almost every single time they walk out, and it's 20-year-olds, 22-year-olds, they're college students.
Yeah.
They walk out and they go, that was cool what you just did, man. That was awesome. And I'm like, cool.
Well, I guess reading something that I've never read before, depending on how long it is, would be difficult.
Well, so. I think it's also a difference. Like I have no problem with audiobooks, but there is something different about reading something.
That is true.
See, but now Cruise Control can read. Cruise Control should be a narrator, because he's read books to me before, and he'll do the inflections and the voices and all that kind of shit. And I'm like, man, that's dope.
Well, it's a practice art, though. It's just like something that he practiced.
Well, that's how you want to get
good. Yeah, but if you want to get good at something, you got to keep doing it and doing it and doing it.
Damn right. Damn right. Like these fucking shrink wraps, because they're getting better and fucking better every fucking month.
You're damn right, man. We keep it active. But
that's right, man.
We're killing it, going deeper and deeper. We just dissected Maxwell like a grasshopper
like a
in 4th grade. Yeah,
a grasshopper. Actually, I don't think we did dissection till 10th grade, wasn't it?
I don't know.
The first time I remember dissecting a grasshopper was in 10th grade, but
10th grade.
Yeah.
That back then, but now they're dissecting each other at 12. So
that's true.
Who knows?
See what gender they want to be and all that kind of stuff.
Oh man, now we're
that's
really
different. That's a different
shrink wrap.
Oh yeah,
that could be and should be, because that's a goddamn national crisis. What that is.
Boy,
yes it is.
Anyway,
I think we're in agreement on our views on that, though.
I think we all.
I believe we are.
And I'm supposed to be, a counselor actually is supposed to be understanding,
sympathetic and understanding.
Sympathetic,
and that's absolutely fucking batshit crazy. Let's go into it.
But I am not.
No, I am not.
I am not.
Well, there you go.
To affirm. That's not your job, is to affirm. Your job is to question.
Right. Well, not only that, but it's a mental illness that's not correct. You know what I'm saying? It's like schizophrenia.
There's
you don't talk.
There's a ton of different perspectives on all of it, but the point is, that whole affirming bullshit is absolutely ridiculous. You don't affirm someone's identity.
Well, and that's it. Like I'm sure Louie
even at a certain age, like all these things that are happening at a certain age is like what?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, but I'm sure you don't affirm.
I was looking at girls when I was 9, not 5.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And even at 9, you were more emulating your older male people that you saw doing things. You didn't really understand it. It's like, she had a nice ass at 9. You didn't really get what that meant until you're older. You're emulating fucking other people that you see, other movies or whatever the fuck you see of people. Yeah, dude, that 9-year-old's got a nice ass. Come on, man. But you're just, you know what I'm saying? You don't understand it. Even if you're fucking,
Well, that's
crazy. It's crazy. It's unbelievable.
Well, that's the thing, and I'm sure with patience or whatever, like say it's a drug problem.
We're going there.
You don't affirm it. You don't go, yeah, man, it's good. Maybe just shoot a little less heroin every day. Your idea is to try to get them off the heroin, right? That's
correct.
The whole thing.
And body dysmorphia and stuff is a serious thing. And I think this is an interesting overall subject, is about the idea that mental illness now is not considered
mental illness.
A mental illness. It's almost like everyone is mentally ill, and you have to be to get your fucking mental ill points, autistic spectrum, ADHD.
Be on the spectrum.
That's also a spectrum. I don't honestly think ADHD is a spectrum too, even though it's not
of course
stated that way.
Here's a crazy question for you, man, and I've been thinking about this for a while. Is it all these fucking new diagnoses of mental illness, are they mental illnesses, or are they just aspects of personality that are just normal behavior that we're classifying as mental illness?
It's like ADHD. Prime example. Fuck. Everybody's got a little bit of ADHD somewhere. Oh, I get distracted. Okay, well.
My point is that some people are into fucking 10 things at once, and some people focus on one thing at once. Just because you're into 10 things at once, that's actually it's not necessarily, well, I'm this or autism. Like some people don't connect toward people in a certain way as others. That doesn't mean that, I'm this. No, you're just a fucking person. Like, at what point do these illnesses actually just masquerade as personality traits? And then
so I guess I would say, as a person who really goes along the lines of what's called reality therapy, there is no diagnosis in reality therapy. It's just, what do you have control over, and what do you choose to do?
Okay, awesome.
So if you're choosing to lose focus, well, then that's something that you might have to try to work on. If that's what you're gonna do, if losing focus is a problem for you, then you're gonna go do something about it and say, okay, look, I'm gonna try not to have so much stimuli in my room to where I'm losing focus. If that's what I want to do. Well, now, some people can actually, they love that whole, like, man, I can multitask and like nobody's business,
And some people are great at it. I suck at it. I'm horrible at multitasking. I told you I can't shit and chew gum at the same time, man. So,
and you accept that. But I think, some people.
And me, I think I have if you wanted to classify it as something, I think I have a form of ADHD in that I focus on something so much that I forget about everything else.
Oh, that happens too. Yeah. That happens too. That's why I'm so bad at multitasking, because I'll stay stuck on the same task until I get it. I'm like, no, fuck that. I don't care. Goddamn the phone. Like, I'm one of those people that, like, if I get interrupted by a phone call or somebody comes in, I'm like, what?
Like this week, you're gonna focus on your e-reader machine, right?
Yeah. So when I'm doing my e-reader,
get it right,
asshole calls me and texts me, I'm like, what do you want, dick? Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. When I'm focused on something, I want to focus. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually focus on this. So, and anything that interrupts me or pulls me away from that in some way or form, it's like, no, God damn it, go.
Yeah, but see, I think you have some anger management issues over there, Max.
Oh, maybe so.
You can hear it in your tone, like, whoa. You getting that angry about somebody interrupting you? Really?
I do.
Yeah, but see, this is actually one thing that I think he actually does well in terms of what Max does. He blows off the steam, so the sound is loud, but it's all just fucking for nothing. Because what he's doing is he's actually, because he's done this for years with the shit that irks me, and it's fucking just tapes of fucking him beating the shit out of he blames it. But it's a great way of fucking just getting your anger out, because after a while, like a day or so, it's like, oh, but you still pissed off? Nah.
Yeah. Well, that's why when people say, you seem like an angry person, those who don't know me, who have seen my Facebook posts, say that, well, he seems like a very angry person. And I don't even know why you're friends with that guy, but what they don't understand is
that that's how he releases that tension.
Yeah, it's done. Yeah. I'm actually a very happy guy normally, actually.
This is the Maxwell Silverhammer dissection fucking show.
I know, right?
And I don't mind
I would rather you do that than be like how I was when I was young. Yeah. And that was, I would let things bottle up and bottle up and bottle up. Yeah. And then somebody would say something really small,
and you pop,
and
right?
I beat the crap out of them because it was like,
exactly.
Oh yeah, I'm going to take all my anger that I was mad about this other person over here and this other person over here talking trash, and I'm going to put it all on you. So you're going to get the beating of your life.
Never that, man. I just.
That's the opposite of compartmentalizing. Like Max doesn't go, he just blows it out of his fucking.
It's gone.
While you, Louie, and sometimes me, I do kind of both. But you are more like, I'm going to store this in this closet. I'm going to store this, and now all of a sudden the closet just breaks and it just falls.
I just react to it right away.
But I know I was really bad back then.
Yeah,
really bad.
And then once you learn that shit, like you can fucking. Get on that shit, Max. You can do it, Max.
Well, but I like the venting that I do. I think it's good.
Yeah,
I
think it's healthy too. I think it is.
Absolutely.
I think it's healthy. I think it's better than doing the other thing.
Yep, it's better than bottling it up and letting it explode
and flip it on somebody.
Because the thing is, you don't know when it's going to happen. That's the problem with the people that bottle it up. It happens at the worst fucking time.
Even they don't know when it's going to happen.
No, because they have no idea, because they're just storing that shit away. They don't have no idea how fucking close it's just falling in on it.
It's like the Dave Chappelle skit that he used to do that when keeping it real goes wrong. Where the guy would just all of a sudden flip out in a weird situation.
Yeah,
sir.
Wow, what a great show.
Man,
I like this one.
We
fucking badass.
We rocked it.
We're killing it, man.
Damn. Well, shit. On that note, fucksters.
Let's do no topic next time too.
Well, I like no topic. I like that.
We had some kind of similar. What I like here is we start off with something, and then we just let it go from there, and it goes to wherever.
See that? Okay, there's another thing, real quick. Some people need a script to take a shit. You know what I'm saying? Well, do I pull my pants down before I sit on the toilet? No, I think I shit first, then wipe my ass, then pull my pants down, or some dumb shit. Whereas sometimes you don't need a script, and that's another thing. Sometimes,
but I also believe that this show did have a theme, and that was fear, because even the stuff we're talking about, the procrastination, is because of fear.
That's the point. You can come with a theme, but at the same time, this is another work thing where I've
variations to the theme,
or even the compartmentalizers. I don't want to. I'm afraid to deal with this now. I can't. Put it there in the corner, and then we'll deal with it later.
But that's the thing. It's like when people say, "Well, what are you gonna say?" Well, I don't fucking know. We don't have a script. We don't have a
right.
We just roll. Because we're dope like that. And I've kind of
dope like that, folks. Like and subscribe.
I've kind of locked. Like and subscribe. Sorry, I forgot to tell them if they don't know to do that.
Those are badasses.
But
you know what? Write a comment too. Why not?
Yeah.
Why
put
not?
Some comments in that bitch.
Throw some shit down there. If you want to talk about what we're talking about here, throw some shit down there.
Absolutely. No, that's just been a thing where I've locked horns with people before, where they're like, well, what are you going to say? I need to know what you're going to say. And I'm like, no, you don't need to know what you say. Or people will ask me, what's the topic or other crazy shit. And it's like, no, actually, I don't need all that shit. I think on my feet, I don't need.
I think we all do.
Well, we do,
which is good.
We do,
but not
Fair
everybody
fucking
does,
badass.
guys. Not everybody can think on their feet.
Not
because-
everyone can be as awesome as we are.
That's like Louie saying we're the chosen few about the Braille. I think we're the chosen few when it comes to this
Absolutely
this improvisational shit too, man. We,
absolutely. So let us end this. Let us. Unfortunately, you will not be graced with our presence for much longer.
No,
because this has
well,
been.
They will because they can watch other shows.
Oh, absolutely! Please make sure you enlighten your life by having us on in the background.
Yes.
Once again, this has been a Nothing Sacred Shrink Wrap for October of 2022. I am Cruise Control.
And I'm Maxwell Silverhammer.
And I'm still Louie Loke.
Damn, man. You need to be a blue blood fucker. And
the story
there. Wow. Not so good at that part, but everything else we're good at. Fuck it.
We are nothing sacred. We are nothing sacred. We are nothing sacred.
With Maxwell Silverhammer.
We are nothing sacred. With cruise control. We are nothing sacred.